many yachts were crossed, and they all have to go back and restart. There are a couple of other start lines out on the Solent with committee vessels, because there's about 870 yachts starting every morning. So it's starting to become calm now. Yachts coming in. These are Swallows, obviously paddling their way. This is the backbone to Cowes. All these day races carrying 2 or 3 crew with no engines on the moorings here, all coming back. Huge logistical exercise, because obviously the launches have to go out and bring all the crews back. But obviously above and beyond that, there's much larger yachts racing as well. Normally between 10 AM and midday, every 10 minutes as a start. You've seen the Mermaid there on the rocks, by the way. So there are many other sailing clubs. The Royal Corinthian next door, then the blue and white striped building, the Royal London Yacht Club, all have their own start lines, but during Cowes Week they just use the Royal Yacht Squadron. Now they only allowed women in there about 5 years ago. When Queen Victoria was here, she wasn't allowed in there, so Albert wasn't very pleased with that, so came up with the idea, much better, he'd build his own yacht club. So he did down in Ryde, and aptly named it the Royal Victoria Yacht Club, and of course he could allow his wife into that. It still exists today as the Royal Victoria Sailing Club in Wood, but the grand building is the Prince Consort building on Ryde Front, and that was actually the old club. The Island Sailing Club coming up next with the yellow and white striped tent there. The highest membership of any sailing club in the world, holds the largest sailing race in the world around the island every year. This year 1,600 yachts, about 15,000 people afloat. The record was broken this year, 2 hours 40 minutes in a very high-tech trimaran. And the important part of the day is now coming up, as you can start to see. Refreshment. Okay, so we slow it. I don't know if you've heard of Uffa Fox, yes. A well-known yacht designer, eccentric, and a great friend of Prince Philip. He lived in that pink house there. Obviously, Prince Philip, I don't know if you saw him this morning, he was walking up down the high street. He's staying on the Galtieri, that ship out there, as we no longer have the Royal Yacht Britannia here. It's up in Leith in Scotland. The Queen, she doesn't like boats very much, but she was here one year with the Prince, and Uffa Fox invited them ashore in that house to have a meal with them. So they came off the Yacht Britannia in the Royal Barge, and Uffa Fox was waiting at those steps as they came alongside, and he was dressed in a nightgown and a nightcap. Prince Philip thought this was very, very funny, and they went inside, and obviously the table was beautifully laid out, and obviously the Queen had to sit down first, and as the Queen went to sit down, Uffa Fox put a whoopee cushion under her. Again, Prince Philip thought this was very funny. That's the last time the Queen came to the Isle of Wight. The other pink building was a boathouse, it's now a museum. Lord Beaverbrook, Max Aiken, owner of the Daily Mail, he lived there. So red funnel rendezvous, red jets from here to Southampton, 22 minutes from West Cowes, the car ferries from East Cowes. So the marina is starting to fill back up again. You see many marinas as we go up River Medina, with many visiting yachts. This old MFV here out for charter, she dates from the 1950s. She's got a bit of history. In the 1960s she was up in the Baltic pretending to look like a fishing boat. In fact it was full of electronic gear in the Cold War and was monitoring the Russian naval movements. Tomorrow night tradition is the Cowes Week Ball at Osborne House. My ticket must still be in the post. about these in a moment. Percent of everything to the island obviously comes on the ferries. Our company, we run much larger vessels from here as well. We also run the pilot boat. There's a small amount of commercial shipping in for cows, so we have to take a pilot out to the ships coming in. So we've got an orange pilot boat here. Blade Runner, aptly named, for wind turbine blades, specifically designed to take them horizontally. The Medina goes to Newport. You can navigate at high tide up to there, at the centre of the island. The narrowest point here in Cowes, the council run this chain ferry. It's going to be scrapped next year, and they're building a new one to go here. Very important, obviously, connecting east and west. Hundreds of people working one side, commuting daily. Otherwise, about 9 miles to drive round via Newport. Okay, from here was the shipyards. In the Second World War, there were huge slipways here. They built 30 very large warships, employed about 3,500 people. The last remnants, the crane here, one of only 2 left in the country, hammerhead cranes, the other one in Glasgow, so they're preserving it. A large shed just burnt down behind here recently. Red Ensign Maritime Safety Courses, MCA, Maritime Coast Guard Agency courses, sea survival, firefighting, etc. They have this ship here as an accommodation ship, and some more wind farm service vessel catamarans. Oh, they've got the kettle on. Yeah. No, it's not leaking. It's got a generator, an engine. And the way to cool it is it sucks in seawater and then pushes it back out. So it's just cooling water. Yeah, you often see this on ships, water coming through a hole. It's just cooling water. So these sheds, I can assure you they're full of very multi-million-pound boats being built. South Boat's the biggest in Europe now, building wind farm service vessels. In fact, most of these sheds around it full of South Boats. As I speak, there's 300 in service around the UK, each taking 12 technicians to maintain all of these wind farms. So very, very big. In fact, they've outgrown Cowes. They're on the mainland and just broken into the American market as well. So as one shipyard goes down and everyone gets depressed and says that's it, another maritime company comes in. So it's very important here to maintain all these yards, and they're very much connected. There's a lot of high-tech industries marine here. Now the largest sailing school in Europe is coming up, the United Kingdom Sailing Academy. Hundreds of school children, not only from the UK but all over Europe, come here. You can learn to sail on everything from a windsurfer right up to a large ocean racing yacht. Canoeing, dinghy sailing, anything to do with the water. So they've got these very large yachts that have been around the world a couple of times. So they come here for a week, residential, a weekend or a day. Anyone between the age of 85, 85. So any age can come here. It's not that expensive. High emphasis on safety here as well. If you just quickly look across these yachts, you'll see Gypsy Moth. This is Francis Chichester's yacht. It's back sailing again, donated to the UKSA, and you can go sailing on that.
That's great. That's great.
You take it from Greenwich out of its concrete coffin.
Used to be
Quite right, this. Sorry?
Used to be more than Greenwich time.
That's right, it was horrible there. Couldn't be sailing. Quite much. That might seem quite doing something. This yard's redundant at the moment. There's a large slipway redundant. tight roads, designated the worst in the country. We give them £500 million to resurface them. So there's a ship like this one coming in every day, discharging aggregates for the island roads. That's about halfway up the Medina to the Folly. There's a nice pub up there. And so it continues all the way to Newport. Behind the ship there's some grain silos. The Isle of Wight harvest is coming in, so they fill the grain silos. Most of the farmers are in a cooperative. And once they're full, the ship comes in and takes it off to Antwerp or wherever. The power station on the east side here is reserved. All the electricity is on a cable underneath the Solent. If that breaks, that will kick in, but it's very expensive. It's oil-fired power station. Here you see the Royal National Lifeboat Institution factory behind the houses. Very large, immaculate inside. This is where they build inshore rescue craft for all around the UK, and they train the crews here.
All the other way power comes from underneath the solar.
Very strange people, the British. All the grain we grow in this country, we don't like the bread that comes out of it, so we export it, and all the bread we eat we get from grain from Canada. Very strange thing. Bizarre, really. Now up the Medina, you couldn't see from here, is probably the largest building on the island, run by Vestas, the largest wind turbine manufacturers, a Dutch company. They've got the research and development plant here. The latest blades are coming out at 89 metres for one blade. So double that plus the pole, you're up to sort of Eiffel Tower size. And the latest phase is phase 3, which means more than 60 miles off the coast now. So very large turbines and large investments to get out there. Now all the grey buildings all the way down is TKN. This is where they build the winglets for the A380 Airbus, the largest plane in the world. You know, the ends of the wings, they got the bits that stick up. Well, on the A380 they're quite large. They're built here, very, very light, very high tech. Also parts of the Merlin helicopters, military helicopters and many other military aircraft parts. Before that it was Westlands, before that it was British Hovercraft Corporation, and before that yet again it was Saunders Row, building the seaplanes. 200 cars or a mix of cars and freight. The Union Jack, the biggest in the world, put there for the Queen's Silver Jubilee 1977. That's where the N4 cross-channel hovercraft were built, also seaplanes, and now there's wind turbine vessels being built in there. Starting to come back. A bit busy ahead of us. So up on the hill there, the large house, that's a nunnery. The point of land is Old Castle Point. Just around the corner is Norris Castle. In 1843, Queen Victoria came here on holiday and stayed at Norris Castle. It was actually up for sale. Believe it or not, she thought it was too expensive. And so what she did, she bought up all the land around it and built Osborne House. Breakwater New was put in recently to protect the harbour from northeasterly gales. So as you can see, hundreds of yachts coming up from the eastern Solent, see all the way down to Portsmouth, Stick now 10 miles away. And the little yellow launch there starting to get busy bringing all the crews in from these day sailing yachts. All these ones that haven't got engines. But there's many much larger yachts obviously still to come in. Ahead of us, what have we got? Flying quick teams just passing FF in the sail. These were designed by Upper Fox. Next boat there as well. So you come back alongside, please remember to keep your hands inside the vessel.